Welcome to the 21st century! Woo! Okay. So, here we are, in the beginning of a new era, decade, century, millennium, or whatever you want to call it. An era that still feels pretty much like the old one. What happened to that millennial spring in our step? And the futuristic gleam in our eye? Where are all of the flying cars and silver clothing? I've got PMS. Post-millennial stress. The very words, year 2000, have sizzled the star part for the better part of a decade, and were often used by the speaker as though he or she were introducing a guest of honor at a Republican fundraiser. But that guest of honor at the Republican fundraiser turned out to be a feces-throwing orangutan in a party hat, better known as Jesse Ventura. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the old and the new millennium. I've got millennium burnout. According to the first Gallup poll of the new millennium, 75% of people stayed home on New Year's Eve, while the other 25% were out in Times Square, freezing their butts off and looking for a place to pee. But, unfortunately for the Times Square crowd, they may not have been celebrating the true millennium, because it's either passed us by or it hasn't happened yet. So first off, I plan on looking into when this millennium thing really is. Secondly, I'll discuss all the evil marketing that is being used to ruin your millennium. And finally, we'll look into all the hoopla surrounding the millennium. So, grab your bucket badge and party like it's $29.99, because the end is near, and so is my first point. When is the millennium? Yes, the year 2000 scared a lot of people, and not just because late-night televangelists were saying that the Lord is coming back with his terrible swift sword and some avenging angels, and I ain't talking about Sabrina, Kelly, and Jill. No, it's a lot worse than that. It's all just a bunch of millennial hype. Nobody could say for sure whether or not the world was going to end, or if you're going to have to wake up on January 1st, 2000, trying to figure out how to reprogram your automatic bagel slicer. The most popular theory is that the millennium began the instant the clock struck midnight, December 31st, 1999, turning into January 1st, 2000. Well, this might not be the actual start of the next millennium, because it's either passed us by or it hasn't happened. First off, I plan on looking at... So, there are 4 theories surrounding when the millennium is. The theory number 1. It's January 1st, 2001. According to millennial researcher Josh Freed, this is the most popular candidate for when the millennium will actually begin. It's even been adopted by Australians, who plan to celebrate a whole year later. Stupid Aussie. An entire more year of millennial hype. My advice, keep the Fosters coming and take back the crocodile hunter! Theory number 2. It's December 25th, 2000. That's the day of Christ's supposed birth. And isn't that what we're celebrating? 2,000 years since the birth of Christ? Then again, nobody's exactly sure when Christ was born, but we do know he received some of the most useless baby shower gifts. What are frankincense and myrrh anyways? Theory number 3, later than that. According to the Bible, Jesus was born while shepherds tended their flocks by night. Well, they couldn't have done this in December, otherwise we would have had a lot of frostbitten sheep. It was likely during the lambing season, which is in March. Yeah, you learn something new every day. So we should celebrate about March 1st, 2000. And finally, theory number 4, it doesn't really matter. Of course, the Christian Judeo calendar has been changed and rewritten so many times, it doesn't really matter. But what if you're not even Christian? According to Uncle John's bathroom guide to the new millennium, Hasidic Jews are now living in the year 5760. Muslims won't be celebrated for another 600 years because it's only 1420. And citizens of China, they didn't get to celebrate the millennium because they're in factories. Selling millennial trinkets to the rest of us. When the book of Revelation said Nostradamus and now the televangelist Pat Robertson, the millennial message is one of floods, fires, damnation, earthquakes, and empty ATM machines. When Y1K happened, there is believed to be mass hysteria all across Christian Europe. But according to Smithsonian Magazine, July and August 1999, there was little if no hysteria in the years leading up to the new millennium. People seemed to be too busy fighting off Vikings, until somebody pointed out that, oh, hey dudes, the late great JC is due to make an appearance. People freaked. But the real question is, why do we need to market the turning of the century? Luxury hotels have been taking reservations for December 31st, 1999 for nearly 2 decades. Over 500 million bottles of champagne have been ordered for Millennium Eve. In fact, there is even a supposed shortage of sparkling white wine and champagne in many parts of the United States and Europe. Oh, God, it's the end of the world! The year 2000 meant profit for many companies. Any company that promoted the millennium was promoting fool's gold, says Lisa Uckman, editor of the IUG sponsorship report. Uckman said that the approaching millennium would bring out a glut of wannabe companies trying to market the millennium as something new and original. But none would stand out, though, because the millennium is part of the public domain. It belongs to all of us. Some of these companies that try to make a buck off of you include Y2KY Jelly. Yeah, ease yourself into the new millennium. Y2 Cream Pies. They'll smack you in the face, just like the Y2K bug. And finally, Millennium for Dummies. Isn't that cute? They must have read Marketing for Dummies. But many of these year 2000 companies were worried about what might happen to all that money they made when 99 turns to 00. Got a computer? Use it quick. Want a car made after 1980? You better pull over. Oh. You got one of those Furby themes last Christmas, didn't you? Well, come January 1st, it'll think it's Rambo, and that could get ugly. I'm sorry. Got a pacemaker? Ow! I'm sorry. Y2K bug? Y2K bug my butt! I was all set in my bunker. I had everything I needed. Gas generator, ammo, porno, everything. Too bad I tossed out all of my receipts. Hey, Jeff, you want to buy a used copy of Goodwill Humping? Now, let's take a closer look at what all the millennial hoopla was really about. It doesn't take a genius to write a what-if horror story, but chances are that this millennium is going to be a lot like the old millennium. Except for the giant mutant insect swarms that will arise from the soil and then slay us all! The party was indeed lavish, as the globe spun from one throng of revelers to another, and we switched between ABC, CNN, Telemundos, Grande Millennial Festival! And waiting for our turn to be next. The absence of any major technological glitch fueled the excitement and made the human race feel pretty damn good about itself, and what surely would become a new era. But what is it about the millennium that made it the greatest event in human history? Well, it was the first event ever that the entire human race celebrated together. Oh, except for Australia and China. So, what did you guys do on Millennium Eve? Stayed home with loved ones? Went out and partied like it's 1999? Or you in a makeshift bunker with flashlight in hand? Well, no matter what you did on New Year's Eve, it probably didn't compare to the day after. Waking up with the ones you love, puking like it's the day after 1999. Or standing at a long line at the Home Depot trying to return that flashlight. Well, no matter what, Monday came, as it always does after the long holiday weekend. And we got back to our normal, everyday lives. Work, school, grocery shopping, laundry. Even writing 2,000 on a check is starting to get pretty old. So today, we've looked at Millennium Burnout, the hype, and what all the hoopla was all about. Thankfully, though, nobody got screwed on New Year's Eve. Well, I shouldn't say nobody.
That's Shaun. What a character. Pacemaker, huh? Okay, all right. Next is Michelle Lane. Let's give her a hand.
They don't like you, Marcia.
Here it comes from the Bob Barker Studios from CBS in Hollywood. It's TV's most exciting hour of fantastic prizes. It's the 1 minute and 27 seconds Price is Right. And here's your star of the Price is Right, Michelle Barker. Welcome to Price is Right. Let's have a look at the first and only item up for bid today. Well, Michelle, we've got 3 stylish buttons worn by Brad, Alec, and Kate. We will be presenting that item to the one of you who bids nearest to the actual retail price without going over. What you bid, Mr. Millennium Burnout Man?
$1.50.
$1.50 for that? Come on, you think I'd spend more than that? How about you, Missy? $2,000. Woo! Big spender here. And the actual retail price is $3. You win! Woo! Now, wasn't that fun? Look familiar? Well, it should. Because game shows like The Price is Right have been around since the dawn of TV. And according to Newsweek, November 1st, 1999, thanks to the 22.4 million people who watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire back in November 1999, the game show genre is poised for a comeback. This outrageous number prompted other networks to jump on the game show bandwagon, creating primetime versions of 21, $64,000 questions, winning lines, and greed. So let's spin the wheel to see who gets to be in the Showcase Showdown by first looking at the evolution of game shows. Second, we'll buzz in and look at the current game show craze. And finally, we'll see what the survey says the reasons are for this current game show obsession. So let's start this dating game, this family feud, by tattletaling and singling out how it all got started. Well, in the beginning, there were game shows, but not like the game shows we see now. Game shows like the original 21 and $64,000 question were even harder. Because not only did you have to remember the answers they gave you before, but you had to act like you didn't remember the answers they gave you. The answer is Afghanistan. These quiz shows of the 1950s focused on trivia, and as families watched black and white savants answer seemingly impossible questions, they could do nothing but fantasize about being the one to know the mating habits of the spider monkey, or the capital of Botswana. These quiz shows lasted about 20 years, but the dawn of the 70s brought on a new wave of game shows. Games where winning wasn't necessarily achieved by answering worthless trivia. I mean, you gotta be pretty sick if you know the mating habits of the spider monkey. You actually had to pull yourself off your patootie, put down that plunger, and play. These popular game shows included the dating game, where you go on a date. Then there was Love Connection, where you talked about your date. And Family Feud, where French kissing host Richard Dawson raped you. some Battle of the Network stars, all allowed ordinary people to stop thinking and start doing. Well, except for Battle of the Network stars. Boy, was that fun to watch the cast of Chips and Joni Loves Chachi run that up, of course. But the ultimate of the physical game show genre was the Gong Show, where Leamy Farr, Artie Johnson, and Charles Nelson Riley all judged the talents of the weekly guests. This show also launched the career of the unknown comic. Hey guys, I'm going to tell you a little joke. What's the difference between a snowman and a snow woman? Snowballs! After they got done making fools of themselves, like me. Eventually, the networks honed their game show skills and created what we now know as the long-lasting greats of game shows, including Jeopardy, The Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, Hollywood Squares, and my favorite, Shopping Spree. All of these game shows were traditionally daytime network shows, but with the advent of cable and the ineptitude of TV comedy writers, which has soured traditional sitcom viewers, game shows are going places they've never gone before. So let's look at the current game show craze, which has over 70 million viewers watching the game show network. Wow. That must be one big couch. Nearly all game shows all the time channels, airing classic episodes that should never be seen again, such as The Joker's Wild. Joker, Joker, Joker. Pressure luck. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no. And The Match Game. Silly Sally got kicked out of her astronomy class because when asked to bring in a picture of a heavenly body, she brought in a picture of her blank. Now you thought game shows were only of the daytime worlds of the unemployed and pregnant? Well, now cable TV is jumping on the bandwagon. MTV's got Singled Out, The Blame Game, and the new Web Riot. VH1 has Rock and Roll Jeopardy, and Comedy Central has West Bed Stag Bunny. A game show that proves that anybody can have a game show. You know something? I think I'm going to have one too. It's called With Michelle Lang. Money. Which is no risk for me because I ain't got none. I think I'll call my first game Pull My Finger. The magic finger pig. You for a big duck. I need the contestant. Go ahead. Pull my finger. Harder. She's my first winner. You've won $1 million. Now, unless you've been living in your car for the past year. Sorry, Dad. You can't help but to have noticed the new primetime game shows, including the new and improved 21, Millionaire, a ripoff of Britain's hit show, and Grease, a ripoff of Millionaire. Many people say that the popularity of these shows stems from its charismatic host. Yeah, I just don't get that. Millionaire is hosted by the apparently hard of hearing, Regis Philbin. Yes, Reg, that's my final answer. Sitting 3 feet away from you for crying out loud! And the only thing bigger than the $2 million prize on Grease is host Chuck Willard's hand-sized head. But the fact is, we're watching, according to the August 30th, 1999 Variety, that the game show boom is huge and is going strong with no signs of fading, which leaves us asking the question, why? Why are networks turning to game shows? And why are we watching? The game's over, okay? The reason why the networks are turning to game shows is because they're as cheap as my little fart machine over there. According to the January 12th, 1999 Business Weekly, they say that it could cost as little as $150,000 to produce a 5-day run, where the primetime dramas and sitcoms can run as high as $1.5 million an hour. This blows my mind. You mean it cost over $1 million to produce some sucky silly shows like Veronica's Closet and Hang with Mr. Koopa? I'd rather watch The Price is Right Showcase Showdown any day, just on the off chance that someone's shirt might get caught in that big wheel and fling him out the back of the studio. Now that's drama. But more importantly, why do we watch? The first reason why we watch is because there are so many bad shows on TV. Between Two Guys, a Girls in a Pizza Shop, Sister Sister, Martial Law, and Nash Bridges, there is enough sucking going on to clean up the ticker tape from Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. Game shows are hip, fun, and don't ask us to believe that Don Johnson and Cheech Marin would actually hang out. Second, Alex Trebek, host of Jeopardy, says that game shows are an example of the true American dream. Anyone can be a hero, anyone can be rich, and it all happens in a half hour. Well, even less if you tape the shows and fast forward through all the commercials. It's a fantasy that we can get involved in. We can shout out all the answers because you know they can hear you. Well, maybe not, but we can show everyone else in the room just how smart you are, which is another reason why we watch. To get involved, to show off, and to piss off all the dumb members of your family. Looking back, we've examined the evolution, the craze, and the reasons why we are in tune with game shows. I guess it's time to wrap up my little show by saying, cue. Thanks for watching, and tune in tomorrow for another exciting hour of fun and prizes. This is Michelle Barker asking you to help me control the Speech 101 population. Have those teachers spayed or neutered today.
I think now you've caught on to what speech to entertaining is all about. Now let's see Sarah Steffen. Let's give it her hand.
So, I'm on my way to work. Did I realize I have an incredibly huge steering wheel? And if I keep steering like this, I'm going to end up in a ditch. On top of that, I'm driving on fumes. So I pull into the go-go gas to fuel up my fuchsia Firebird, and I am excited to find out that the go-go gas now allows me to pay at the pump. So I slip in my Visa and proceed to pump in the petroleum. Do you want a receipt? No. No! Oh, darn it anyhow. Now I have to wait because my accountant will be free to the next criminal who drives in the gas station. I arrived to work late, but with a receipt. Log on my computer, stare at the flying toaster screensaver for 5 minutes, fire up the internet, and read my email, ignoring the pornographic joke sent by some guy I met one time and hardly know, but he put me on his buddy list. Whether it's paying at the pump or deleting porn, there's more technology in my life than ever before. You can't go to the market, register for classes, or even spend a night in a hotel room without encountering countless challenges brought on by technology. In fact, according to the Chicago Tribune, January 6, 2000, techno stress is taking over our lives. Perhaps there's a website called www.helpmegetaClueAboutTechnology.com. / I can't take it anymore. So, follow me as I explain what techno stress is, as well as talking about the causes of techno stress, and finally, how you can take control of the driver's wheel while on the highway of technological stress. So, let's let's begin by first explaining what technostress is, as well as scanning through its history. According to Dr. Craig Broad, clinical psychologist and self-proclaimed founder of technostress, he defines it as a modern disease of adaptation caused by the inabilities to cope with new modern technology. However, we in today's society do not see technostress as a disease, yet we see it as the negative impacts on our body physiology, thoughts, and behaviors. Take my boyfriend, for example. He can't even write me a love letter anymore. I'm waiting for my computer to download my virtual roses. Speaking of roses, that boy needs to wake up and smell some. He needs to spend less time on Helen's Morning Housewives hard drive, more time on mine. And according to the E! Magazine, January 2000, I'm already short on time because of my fast-paced world. Add to that the unfriendly nature of technology in general. Boil, boil, toil, and trouble. You end up with a too deadly combination of F's in life. Frickin' Furbies. Milo, I need love. Actually, failure of frustration. From this, we get the classic textbook case of technostress. The blood pressure rises, sleep is disrupted, and people eat Tums as if they were Tic Tacs. But to further understand technostress, let's look at how it evolved. According to Dr. Michelle Wheel, co-author of technostress, she says the following technological advances took place. 1440, Gutenberg invents the printing press. And 500 years later, stars in a bad movie with Tom Selleck and Ted Danson. 1880 brought us the first automatic weaving machine, now obsolete because of hair in a can. I might need some of this. 1946 brought us our first digital computer, which could barely fit through that huge door. 1976, Commodore 64. 1982, Pac-Man. 1990 and beyond, laptops, cellular phones, World Wide Web, CD-ROMs, video conferencing, and more electronic advancements and toys than you can wave them out there. Finally, 2000. iMac, paddywhack, give your dog a bone. This PC comes a rolling home. Computers are everywhere. So much so that when the clock struck midnight on January 1st, caused our ultimate technostress. Y2K. And I'm not talking about yesterkia. So, here we are, stressed out about all these technological wonders, but what has caused us to be so apprehensive about anything that has a plug or batteries? According to John Naisbitt, who predicted this technological turmoil in his 1982 book, Megatrends, he alludes, change is occurring so rapidly that it's stressing us out. For example, everybody's got to have their own little cell phone. Well, I have a big one. To go with their complex voicemail system.
You have 5 new messages. To listen to your messages, press 1. To save your message, press 7. To erase it, press 9. You have pressed 6. All messages will be erased. Press access code 15935746521. When you end this call, smash phones against your head.
Our second cause of technostress is higher expectations. According to Dr. Barbara Gleason's book, The Electronic Sweatshop, getting things accomplished has become more chaotic than ever before. In fact, a study by the Institute of Future found that 84% of Americans were interrupted 3 times each hour for some new project or something that was urgent. Sarah, I expect the QED reports to be finished by 8 a.m. But I want the project that I gave you this morning done before you leave. Thanks. You're such a trooper, and because we bought you that new $5,000 computer, it should be a breeze for you. If you have any problems, email me, kiddo. And, you know, the coffee pot. After returning from lunch, according to the Chicago Tribune, January 6, 2000, an average worker will find 5 voicemail messages, 13 emails, and 6 faxes. Then, after emailing that stupid porno guy back, you find out your computer has crashed. The QEDs are due, the props is due, and you still haven't cleaned out that damn coffee pot. You're in a panic, which leads to my final cause of technostress. The constant bombardment of news stories, television, magazine articles, and anything else that provokes us to question anything we own. Is it fast enough? Does it do enough? Is it compatible? Rock. And the only window you care about is the one you're about to jump out of. In addition, every company seems to have their own online website. Even Victoria's Secret has their own online catalog. I'm sorry, but I'm not comfortable about using the internet to buy my brosures and punctures. So, how can we make our life experience more enriched like white bread? Well, according to John Naismith, we need to take the following steps towards avoiding technostress. First, avoid using the internet to buy your brosures and punctures. Second, don't go for fancy gadgets and gizmos aplenty. Go for the color of the computer so it'll give highlights to your room. When making your technological purchase, buy only what is needed. More technology means more technostress and more money. After making your technological purchase, read the instructor's manual from front to cover. Unless you're a male. And if technological breakdowns do occur with your technological purchase, don't get technostress. Keep the number for technical support handy. And remember, be nice to them. Otherwise, you'll have a piece of crap you'll never use. Like a George Foreman grill. Moreover, we'll never be totally released from our technostress society. We just need to learn to live with it. It's simple. You don't need a super-duper Y2K battery-operated sweet tart dispenser! Upon the conclusion of my speech, I will have sweet tarts available for all of you, along with contact information. Finally, make the impersonal personal. Most voicemail systems have an option for pressing 0. Unless you have a rotary phone, Miss Latrenta. In that case, go back home to your cave and watch your black and white television. So today we discussed the technostress society surrounding us, why it is happening, and how it can be prevented. However, you guys can be the intelligent ones the next time you log on, turn on, plug in, or pull up your technological pumpkins.
These old jokes going today. Enough of that. I'll get even with these guys later. That was Sarah. Thanks, Sarah. And now it's Keith Nadal. Let's give him a hand.
Sports fans, this is Keith now reporting to you live from Harper Community College to give you this week's play-by-play on extreme sports. Today we're going to see some fine athletes go head-to-head in extreme school. First, we're going to see biological skydiving, where you must point out and name at least 12 different species of plants before you can open your parachute. And then we're going to see mathematical roller derby, where the last team standing without breaking any of their pencil tips wins. Remember, books may be used as a weapon during play, so may I suggest a dictionary. And finally, we're going to have some co-ed naked speech class, where we take the persuasion to a whole new level. Please stay tuned and we'll be right back after these words from Mountain Dew. Give me a mountain, give me a dew. What the hell's going on? It seems like everything we do is turned into a dangerous sport. I mean, the soapbox race wasn't good enough. Now we have the street luge. Skydiving wasn't good enough. Now we have people jumping out of airplanes with surfboards strapped to their feet. Yeah! Well, it makes perfect sense to me, because the popularity of the extreme sports is increasing every day. Now, according to a 1999 sports data survey, 15% of the population between the ages 14 and 17 skateboards. And the National Sporting Goods Association reported that there are 26.6 million inline skaters. Now, a lot of people seem to want to be a part of this culture, but a lot don't seem to understand what's at the root of the extreme sports. So today we're going to dive into history and see what makes a sport extreme, and then we're going to wrestle around with some different types of extreme sports, and finally, we're going to grind our way through the question why. So, what makes a sport extreme? According to Chris Fowler, co-anchor on ESPN, it simply means to take a sport to the edge. But there's a fine line between sports and stupidity. And extreme sports are designed to destroy that line, not by showing us what you can't do, but what you are not willing to do. The objectives of these sports is not to be the most graceful, but the most impressive by finding new ways to rack yourself. They all contain high risk and very high stupidity, in an attempt to escape the intended outcome: death. So when it all comes down to it, extreme sports are sports where you take a group of people who are good at something, and they push themselves way beyond what a normal person would call crazy. It's the next level of sports in this new generation. Now, you might hear some people say that it's the Generation X freaks who are responsible for these stupid activities. Well, I have news for those people. Stupid activities have been around for a pretty long time. In fact, it dates back to cavemen who would use their sticks and sharpen them on rocks and go say, "But you tug hunting." Stupidity is born. This leads on to such things such as the Roman gladiators fighting off animals like lions, tigers, and bears. And you all know what comes next, so I'm not going to say it. And then how about those extreme Spaniards armed with spears and red blankets fighting off the ill-tempered bulls? And as much as some of us would like to stick a spear in them, I'm not talking about Dennis Rodman. And how about the genius in the 50s who threw a piece of wood in the ocean and started the idea of surfing? Hey dudes, hang 10! Oh, nuts! Stupid splitter. And then we got the 70s, the golden age of extremely big hair, roller derby, and the ultimate extreme sportsman, Evel Knievel, a former juvenile delinquent, thief, card sharp, pimp, and insurance salesman, but achieved his fame by jumping his motorcycle over impressive things such as canyons, people, trucks, cars, Monica Lewinsky's thighs, ego. It was even once said that he even tore the tag off of his mattress at home. Now, all these things during their time were considered extreme, and you have to wonder, what will be considered extreme in the next 10 years? Walking? Well, they already make special shoes for it. I can see the sports announcers now. He's got a pretty hard course ahead of him today. First, he's going to have to get over the flaming picnic table, then around the swing set of death, and then past the scorpion-infested sandbox. Then he's going to continue to proceed to extreme walk his way into point 2. Now that we have an extreme understanding of what extreme sports are, let's look at some different types. First, we have our more original types of extreme sports, like skateboarding. There are 2 types of skateboarding, the street challenge and the vertical ramp, also known as the half pipe. But don't get that confused with the crack pipe, because I think you have to be on crack to try some of these things. In the vertical ramp, you have a U-shaped ramp where a skateboarder goes back and forth where he is faced with 2 choices. 1, do a very cool aerial trick, or 2, do a very cool aerial landing on his head. In the street challenge, you have a course on a street, imagine that, with a variety of objects such as ramps, bike racks, and boxes, also known as fun boxes, to perform tricks off of. I guess hookers are just too hard to come by these days. Then we got the ultimate fighting challenge, where you take 2 experienced fighters, lock them in a cage, and they fight each other. The rules consist of no biting, eye gouging, or kicks to the groin. Strangely enough, the same rules I post on my windshield when I go on a date. But for some reason, they're never followed. You can win the match by either knocking your opponent out, making him give up, or by referee overall decision. Maybe if I started bringing a referee on my date. Nah. Then they even have extreme golf for you extremely preppy people, which may apply to some of you in here, but I won't name any names. New Jersey's Mountain Creek Resort is inviting 72 amateur golfers to participate in the nation's first extreme golf tournament. It will include ski slopes turned putting greens, whitewater rivers for water hazards, and deep rocky crevices for bunkers. On top of that, I hear they will also be releasing an angry tiger on the course. And this tiger's last name is not going to be Woods. And then they have base jumping. This is known as the most dangerous of all the extreme sports. In its 15-year-old history, 46 people have died trying it. Base jumping is jumping from high objects with a parachute. If your parachute fails to open the first time, don't bother to reach for the reserve, because there just isn't enough time. My best advice for this situation is to put your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. But don't get this confused with my specialty, base jumping. But we won't get into that, because I don't want to make anyone in this room jealous. So, now that we've looked at some different types of extreme sports, I guess that leaves us with two questions. Why? Why would we do sports where we get hurt? And why would we watch sports where people get, well, hurt? Well, according to Medical Research Magazine, they've come up with 3 reasons why we take these risks. Reason number 1, that it's some sort of superego gene that turns us into morons. Now, scientists have not been able to figure out how such genes work, but it is believed that the gene is strikingly similar to the chemical makeup of a cross between a Mountain Dew and Viagra. Scientists have also not been able to prove that everyone with this gene is going to grow up to be a risk taker. Maybe just a heartbreaker. Or even a lovemaker. Another reason why we take these risks are that these are the types of activities that pop up when a nation hasn't been off to war in a long time. Dan Cady, a professor of popular culture at California State University in Sacramento, extreme site sourcing, says that previous generations didn't need to seek out risk. They had war. Well, what did pro skater Tony Hawk have to say about that? Dude! Basically, I think we're missing the most obvious reason of all. We're bored. We live in a society that keeps getting faster and faster. We're building faster cars, faster bikes, and just faster and better ways of doing things. Now, sometimes these extreme sports athletes defy gravity, and sometimes even common sense. That might be the reason why we like to watch them. Frank Farley, a Temple University professor, says that the whole nation has turned X-rated, and the chance to watch someone die is the reason for the popularity of these sports. I say the whole nation has turned X-rated and want to see more porn. Which gives me a pretty good idea. This is Keith Nadal with the full coverage on the rated XX Extreme Sports. If Team Harper wants to pull or push their way in the first place, they better pick up the pace. Okay, maybe I've gone a little too extreme STE. But do we really want to see people die? Do we really want to see them get hurt? Of course we do. These extreme sports athletes have found a way to make getting hurt look cool. Now, I'm not saying it's not kind of neat to see the occasional baseball player going for a fly ball. I've got it! I've got it! You see? I throw jokes at you. Some of you laugh. Some of you don't. I run into a wall. You all laugh. My point to prove it. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't think we're going to see anything new in baseball that we haven't seen before. And every day you hear more people say football's too much starting and stopping over again. I say make the football explode sometime during the game, and then see if those TV ratings go up. So what have we learned? We learned what makes the sport extreme. We've looked at some different types of extreme sports, and we looked at some reasons why people like to do them and watch them as well. So in conclusion, these things may not be the safest thing in the world, but they appeal to America's need for bigger, better things. So in a couple of years, if I have to give this speech going down ski slopes, dodging VA stands on flaming skis, I don't think so. So bring on that coordinated persuasion. Because no one delivers a speech faster than me.
Great job, Keith. Last but not least is Jennifer Osborne.
People, I got issues. I got issues on top of my issues. Everywhere I go, someone's on a frickin' cellular phone. I'm in the library trying to concentrate when Susie Cute sorority girl comes traipsing in with her Nokia, yammering on about space. Mixer! I'm driving in my car when this left foot ass cuts me off. So I pull the aside and do my civic duty by flipping him off, he doesn't even see me. Instead, he's on his Primeco, apparently arguing with his steering wheel. I'm sitting in anthropology class when the girl next to me vibrates. As she reaches into her pocket, she pulls out a cell phone in the middle of class, and she answers it. Finally, I make my way over to the John, and to the sound of toilet paper spinning and a tucking in her shirt side here, well, it just won't come out any sooner. It's still cooking. I'm trying to push this one through, but there's still a few clogs in the system. How important can any one person be that they have to be reached at any time and in any place? I mean, if you're a cop or a doctor, fine. If you're waiting for a kidney, terrific. But the cell phone boom is out of control. According to the August 10th, 1999 Chicago Tribune, 80 million cell phones are in use today, and the industry projects the number will double within the next 4 years. Not only are cell phones annoying, but they're dangerous. They cause drivers to crash their cars. They're said to be a serious cancer risk. They cause airplane and hospital equipment to go haywire, and those pesky antennas are poking out eyeballs across the country. According to Pennsylvania State psychology professor Peter Krabs, I'm sure his high school chums didn't give him any flack for that name. Quote, I think it's the wrong direction for us to be going in as a society. Cell phones are encouraging people to lose self-control. Well, with all this in mind, let's take a look at the cell phone boom by first tracing the evolution of this invasion. Second, looking at the pros and cons of this technology. And finally, how you can use and refuse to abuse this technological use. In order to trace the evolution of the cell phone, you need to call 411 and get the info on how it all began. Let's go back to the beginning. 7000 BC. Moog and Ook. Best cave buddies. Moog wants to go woolly mammoth hunting. Need contact Ook, other side of river. Moog pull out. Cellular rock. Throw across river. Hit Ook and head. Ook. Mobile communication is born. Fast forward, 1949. Little Jimmy Kimball, little Tommy Thomas, 2 Campbell soup cans, and a spool of kite string. Hey, isn't this like really neat? Yeah, really neat, Four Eyes. I think I got some mushroom soup in my ear. 1978. Citizen band radios, aka CBs, occupy the time of men, women, truckers, and primetime TV. Breaker, breaker, 1-9, this is Daisy Duke, Combo and Luke. Uncle Jesse's in big trouble. Boss Holmes accused him of stealing payroll. Roscoe got a bunch up in the cookie. Round up Cooter and me at the house, come up with a plan. Yeehaw! 1983. CBs become the hottest selling item at garage sales because of this new technology called the car phone. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, at one time cellular equipment was so bulky it could only be used from an automobile. 1988, mobile technology rids us of the car. Hey guys, you would love my new mobile phone. I am talking right into it. Oh, hold on, let me adjust my antenna. There, is that better? Year 2000. 1 cell, 2 cell, red cell, blue cell, portable, flexible, digital, portable, PCS systems that are so small that a prisoner of war could hide up behind them. Today's cell phones feature long-distance calling, roaming capabilities, hands-free capabilities, long battery life, voicemail, caller ID, internet access, email, and of course, video games. Now you can have your Pokemon and talk to them too. I choose you, Pikachu. Well, now that we have a better idea of how the cell phone evolved, let's look at the pros and cons of this magical gadget. First, the negative aspects of the cell phone craze. I'm sure you've heard it all before. On the road, a cell phone conversation is downright dangerous. According to the Journal of American Medical Association, May 19, 1999, cell phone users are 4 times as likely to get into an accident. I don't know how they do it. I mean, every morning I see people yapping on their cell phones, not paying attention to the road. I mean, hello, I couldn't do it with my espresso in one hand, my mascara in the other. How am I supposed to answer it? I mean, I need my needs to scare. In addition, according to Discover magazine, March 2000, your health is also at risk. Hit the talk button on your cell phone or microwave radiation bombards your head like a gym full of fourth graders playing dodgeball at recess. As the electromagnetic waves cross your mind, so might a few questions. Is your brain frying? Does anyone care? A manufacturer is researching this stuff enough, and who wants to be a millionaire? Well, not me if I gotta hang out with Regis for an hour. You wouldn't be the only one asking yourself these questions. They are a large mounting debate between scientists and the cell phone industry. Are cell phones safe? Maybe. Maybe not. Besides talking on the cell phone while you're driving and a possible cancer risk, cell phones pose additional negatives. Woo, that I just don't have time to get into right now. So pressing on. Let's get to the pros. Pro number 1. Cell phones make you look cool. Remember, image is everything. If you have a cell phone in your hand, people will think you're important. Popular. According to Total Wannabe magazine, September 1st, 1999, you are guaranteed a 50% increase in popularity, intellectual status, and sex appeal. Guys, if you're single, you can score chicks. It's time to get jiggy and put to the test by sporting a really funky, way cool Sprint PCS. Take it from me and Tommy Hilfiger, baby. Style is what counts, because the wallet is in your pocket. Pro number 2. Cell phones allow people we care about, and even people we couldn't care less about, to be able to get a hold of us in any time and in any given situation. At your favorite restaurant, they'll get you. Movie theater, they'll find you. In the middle of a round, on a scale of 1 to 6, you're getting the 6. Well, I doubt that millions of Americans across the country will be tossing their cell phones in a waste bin and rushing like Superman for a phone booth. So here's Jennifer's advice to cell phone usage. First thing we need to ask ourselves is, as college students and teachers, do we really need a cellular phone? The answer is probably no. So get over your bad self. You're really not going to look that cool with a cell phone in your hand. It is nothing but a distraction and a bad impression on those who don't know you. Invest in a calling card. In addition, if you insist on having a cell phone, make your calls brief. Use the phone only for emergencies. And for crying out loud, put that thing in your pocket of your purse. There's no reason to display it. Like it's that priceless diamond thing in a Titanic. I mean, despite what you think, walking down a hallway and barking into your Motorola is not cool. People are making fun of you. In addition, if you insist on driving with a cell phone, please pull over. I am not interested in getting into an accident because your girlfriend needs to know where the hell you are. If you can't pull over, then pull your head out of your ass. And finally, if you receive a call during class, get up and excuse yourself out of the room. Or don't even bring a cell phone to class. Don't forget that placing the ringer on vibrate is a common courtesy. Not to mention sort of fun when placed in the appropriate pocket. Woo! Well, I think I've gotten that all off my chest. Which in my case, didn't take much effort. Trace the evolution of the cell phone, talked about their dangers, giving you some useful advice, and used the word ask twice. Oops. 3 times. And just so you know, I realize that cell phones pose an important purpose in our society. It's just when they're misused, I take issue. So if you need to call me at home. If I'm not there, leave a message. But please, don't forget to dial M for manners.
Gather around, darling, and let me tell you my favorite Dr. Seuss story, the Cosmo edition. It's called Go, Diva, Go! Big Diva, Little Diva, Latino Diva, French Diva, Canadian Diva, Male Diva, Ho, at the bar. Do you like my new enhanced breath? Now Pamela Lee says less is best. Look at these divas go. Go, diva, go. Divas have become a phenomenon all over the world. Wherever you look, divas are in the front seat. Call them otherwise. But when you're earning over $20 million a year, you can call yourself anything you want, honey. And Jeff, the $20 a year that you get for teaching speech classes is a good start. Just a million sessions to go. I found out while shopping through the March 1999 National Enquirer, while standing in the checkout line at 7-Eleven, that the average diva owns over 500 pairs of shoes and has a passion for Frito cowhair painting. It's a new Van Gogh, you know. On the other hand, People magazine, July 1999, states that divas are like ordinary people. They love to cook, they love to vacuum, and they're ordinary problems like you and me. Yeah, right. This time, I'm going with the National Enquirer as a reliable source. Yes, the diva hurricane has hit us. TV, movies, magazines, music. We can't seem to turn around without hitting a diva. Which I would love to do. Just give me 30 seconds of that Celine Dion. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let's find out what a diva is. Second, we'll look at the different types of divas and the pros and cons of being a diva. So what is a diva? There is a historical definition as well as a current twisted sister definition. Historically, diva is Latin for chaste goddess. Not to be confused with chaste goddess, even though Aphrodite was known to have worn a thorn. According to Entertainment Weekly, the D word actually dates back to an 1831 aria. Historical divas were opera singers. But who knows them? We only know the commercially historical divas and their diva attitudes, such as Eve and her pesky apple, Delilah and her thing with hair, Cleopatra and those serpents, and Joan Crawford and those famous wire hangers. Historical divas were powerful women that didn't need power suits. They were feminine in sequins. Today, a diva is more about temperament range rather than vocal chord range. However, it still means being the master of your craft, and I mean that literally. The lowest point is when someone like Martha Stewart is called the diva of upholstery and craft skills. Away with a glue gun! You know, I wish you would use that damn thing on her mouth. Because it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do at home. Divas, nowadays, there are many types of divas. There are even daytime divas, such as Sally Jessy Raphael and Joan Rivers. Come to think of it, I do believe they are the same person. Either that or their plastic surgeon only has one design. According to Aretha Franklin, a diva comprises of musicality, a theoretical element, and a certain carriage. Well, with all due R-E-S-P-E-C-T, Aretha, I don't A-G-R-E-E. Britney Spears is a proclaimed mouse-to-tear-term pop diva, but she doesn't have a talented musical bone in her breast and pants and body. So now we know what a diva is. Let's look at the different types of divas. There is no specific order, because divas must never be ranked, or they'll stop eating. Without any preference, we'll look at some female divas, some male divas, and our own Speech 101 divas. A female diva is one that personally identifies with the Vita, whose lungs are registered as a lethal weapon with the FBI. True. Celine Dion, she has to check them out each time she goes for a concert. And the only reason why she pounds her is to get them kick-started again. A female diva's ex-husband gets the alimony. She's brassy, dominable, and weighed down with foot-long eyelashes. According to Cosmo, June 1999, she's a diva if she has an English accent, even though she's been brought up in Michigan. And I know you're wondering, I've never been to Michigan. Male divas are known as D.O.s. They are the slow, charismatic types like Alec Baldwin, Tom Cruise, and John Travolta! Unfortunately, they're also the Devo tryhard, like whiny Woody Allen, tryhard or never die hard Bruce Willis, and the three remaining Baldwin brothers. And then there are the Devo dropouts. These guys used to be Devos, but somehow lost their charisma along with their balls and money. This drops Andy Dick. He lost more than his balls. And Robert Downing Jr. And finally, this speech just would not be complete without mentioning our own Speech 101 divas. Come on, people, it's nearly the end of session. You know which one of you are the Speech 101 divas. The classic is the visual aid diva. They're the ones that have a visual aid for every major point of their speech. Here's a tip. To get those extra credit points, throw in a picture of your favorite Speech 101 diva! Jack, don't and I would like to continue down this path. Okay, and later on I'll wrap it up. As we look at the pros and cons of being a diva. The cons. The very meaning of being a diva is slowly, reluctantly devolving into bad attitudes and inflated egos. Once these divas have so-called made it in their career, they stop learning. They think they know it all. This happens to celebrities as well as everyday Joes. Classic example is your overpaid and arrogant boss. You know, the Xerox boy that clawed his way to becoming the CEO of the company. Now he expects first-class flights and a hot cup of coffee on his desk and arrival to work. They're warned not to arouse a diva's temper because they will not hesitate to leave their handprint on your face for impression. See Jacques Ball, see Sean Penn, now see Dinah Ross. We don't need this bad attitude. We can be divas without the extravagance and arrogance. So let's take the last final moments of this speech to remember our diva spirit. Many people have risen to the full status of being a diva. Dedicated mothers and fathers, firefighters, search and rescue teams. Even some celebrities have finally got the message. Sting and his stance on the environment, Liz Taylor and AIDS awareness, Willie Nelson and Farm Aid, and Ricky Martin and those fabulous leather gloves. Yeah, right. Well, they're going to do that now. So tonight, we have looked at what a diva is, the different types of divas, and the pros and cons of being a diva too. In this mad dash to becoming divas with superfluous attitudes, let's not forget its enchanting qualities and enhance them too. Now, where was I starting? Divas, here and there. Divas, everywhere.
Sitting at the corner of the dining, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee with my best friend Susie. She's such a bitch. Well, while we're waiting for our moves over to my hammy to arrive, we hear these two guys behind us talking. And one guy seems to be coaching the other guy. And he says, okay, so like, dude, first thing you do is like hold it at like 45 frames. Look it over, admire it. But dude, be careful not to like bite on it too hard. Once it's going evenly, draw. Holy crap, my friend Susie says, to turn around and see these two guys smoking cigars. Yes, I must have been taking a nap when it happened, but cigars are now hip, they're sexy, they're the hottest thing since Gigapet. They also might be the least unhealthy, but yet alive to smell perfectly, just like your grandpa. According to Reader's Digest, January, February 1999, pinstripe fat cats, Wall Street wannabes, irony-drenched Gen Xers, and just plain folks with smokes crowd the wood-paneled, leather-chaired cigar bars and humidor societies that are popping up faster than Britney Spears in a training procedure. My loneliness is killing me, and I must confess. Can you name it one more time? The Cigar Association of America shows that the annual U.S. consumption is expected to increase from just over 2.5 billion cigars in 1991 to just over 3 billion this year, or approximately 11 cigars for every person in the country. So if you haven't smoked a cigar yet, you have approximately 200 days to get your quota. Smoke them if you got them. With all this in mind, we'll first take a look at what the cigar craze is. Then turn our attention to find out who's lighting up, and finally we'll uncover some reasons as to why the stanky stogie surge is occurring. First, let's take a look at what the cigar craze is. According to American Demographics, July 1998, the stogie as a cool tool has been building for a while and is now a frenzy. The equation of fine wine equals fine cigars has taken hold among the neo-yuppies who love the naughty, politically incorrect thrill that comes with every public puff. No longer is the cigar smoker stereotyped as a heartless capitalist, so Gates. Instead, the cigar has become the tattoo and belly button ring of the 90s, and its indulgence is catered to by upscale cigar bars with walk-in humidors, with Bailey's Irish Cream on tap. Rates for cigar smoking have been declining fairly steadily since the 1970s. Even back when cigarette smoking was permitted almost everywhere, cigars were often banned. Then suddenly, like RuPaul at his first gay bar, it all changed. According to Consumer Reports, May 1998, the annual U.S. consumption soared by nearly 50% to more than 5 billion cigars annually. With Madonna, Sandra Bernhard, and Katie Lang stepping in to replace Milton Berle and Groucho Marx as celebrity cigar users, it's not surprising that an almost surreal celebration of cigar toys and lesbians has come out of the closets, to the casinos, to the clubs and cafes. The stogie surge has brought an entire list of products, including $12,000 walk-in humidors to store cigars at home, a golf putter with a humidor built into the shaft, cigar vending machine, cigar apparel, and even cigar-shaped Godiva chocolate. So now you can have your cigars and eat them too. So just who are these 5 billion people? Well, my first guess would be my Uncle Chaz. I swear to God, the man has a Tiparillo surgically implanted in his lower lip. Now I'm one of those people, when reading a wine tasting review, it can happen. Can't figure out why he doesn't talk about getting drunk. I mean, nobody would pay $3.50 for a box of Blue Nut if it didn't contain alcohol. And nobody would smoke the fumes of smoldering dry vegetable matter of a Oliva Escondido if it didn't contain nicotine. So first, there's no way to divorce the cigar experience from its male tradition. A man never misses a chance to remind everyone that he's a man. And that's why they invented the beer bong. A cigar is the thumping of the chest. Buy a pickup truck, wear big boots, smoke a cigar. Caesars are thinking. This validated cigar has aimed at a new line of cigars for men called Label by Don Diego. The cigar you keep hidden from your wife. With all this excitement found in cigar smoking, it's not surprising that men tend to associate cigars with parenthood. By pilfering around a cigar after the birth of a child, a man seems to be saying, hey, I made a baby. And here's an object symbolizing how the baby is done. Let me know if your wife needs a baby too. Second, according to USA Today, May 1998, there has been a dramatic increase in the amount of women smoking cigars. It seems that as women make advances in the workplace, they also seem less afraid of breaking typical male pastimes for relaxation. Hell, when I need to relax, I shop for shoes. This dramatic increase, however, just shows that women want to do what men want to do. Then belching and butt scratching ain't gonna cut it. That's why tobacco companies target us. Consolidated Cigar has aimed at a tapered cigar for women called the Cleopatra. With a name like that, it's hard to believe that women feel liberated by cigar smoking. But women continue to light up, just so they can go around saying, kick ass! Perhaps the ultimate but unfortunate testimony to cigar smoking kicking ass in the U.S. of A. is a recent study showing that teens are taking up the habit as well. According to Consumer Reports, May 1998, a totally kick-ass source, approximately 6 million teens in the 9th through 12th grade had smoked at least one cigar in the past year. You see, often teens smoke cigars as a smelling cover-up for the marijuana they stuffed inside them. Johnny, are those Swisher Sweets I smell, or am I going to have to go up there and kick your ass? However, teens don't realize this. They are at deep risk of becoming addicted and joining the next generation of smokers. So now that we know what the cigar craze is and who's lighting up, we now need to look to reasons why it's such a disgusting, unhealthy habit to rage. We can look to celebrities and a ton of hype. The cigar is a wonderfully placed symbol in an age driven by icons. It sometimes seems as if every other celebrity is seen photographed puffing on a Macanudo, which is different than puffing on a member of Menudo. Although I don't doubt that ever happened. Fueled by celebrity smokers like Danny DeVito and Fidel Castro. Fueled by celebrity smokers like Matt Damon, Mel Gibson, and Brad Pitt. Cigars has become the BMW of the 90s. Luxurious and desirable. Ooh, those boys are desirable. The Boston Globe, August 5th, 1998 reports that there's a reason celebrities are eagerly seen chomping at your roots. Well, the perception is cigars are what tough guys smoke. So that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's not a tumor, and Sylvester Stallone wants to be seen doing. To be honest with you, the only thing I want them to be seen doing is taking some acting lessons. Well, that or feeding Maria Shriver every once in a while. Cigars are also a comedian's best friend. Witness George Burns, Millie Burrows, Bill Cosby, Bill Murray, Groucho Marx, and Stacey Capricorn. Demi Moore wants to light up your life. She reported in the March-April 1998 issue of E! Magazine that there's a fine quality and workmanship that goes into the making of a cigar. I don't know, Demi, but I think your implants are on too tight. Even Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were seen lighting up after the 1998 NBA championship. But now since the Bulls are no more, the only thing seen lit at the United Center is the drunk guy in the back row cheering for Cody Kukoc. So as you can see, from sports heroes to celebrities caressing colossal humans, which I always thought was Lucy Ricardo's job. It's no wonder men, women, and teens want to be like us. The celebrity cigar craze can attribute to the special reason cigars have become so popular. That is cigar hype. Cigars are increasingly showing up in videos and on album covers, including Wu-Tang Clan's album, Wu-Tang Forever, which is what I used to say as a kid when my mother served me up John Glenn's favorite beverage, Wu-Tang! The Baltimore Sun, January 11th of 1998, reports that with such ads, sales shot up faster than Robert Downey Jr. to the Rolling Stones conference. Cigar aficionado may also be attributed to this cigar hype. This magazine makes it chic for people to smoke cigars, and has recently replaced TV Guide as the magazine of choice on today's coffee table. So that's it. Today we've taken a look at what the cigar craze is. We found out who was lighting up, and finally we uncovered some reasons as to why the stogie surge is occurring. All this information would be merely amusing if cigars weren't a serious health threat. Despite the fact that many cigar smokers don't inhale and indulge in their passion only occasionally, there is clear evidence that even without a printed warning on the label, cigars are hazardous to your health. Now I know it seems we live in a no society, no weed, no alcohol, no sugar, no fast driving, no dirty movies. Well, sometimes. Lighting up seems like an easy way to relax. But we can't live our lives like lemmings. Just because cigars are the hottest trend doesn't mean we need to jump on the bandwagon. So the next time someone offers you a cigar or something to suck on weed.
With lemons, you need to make lemonade.
19802, Julie Bolser. If only Hansel and Gretel had thought about it. Lured to the home of an ugly witch, our fearless characters dropped breadcrumbs on the forest floor in order to find their way home again. Alas, theirs was a decision for the birds. The breadcrumbs consumed by winged marauders and their sole means of discovery digested. Hansel and Gretel's tale turned grim. Nonetheless, we can learn a lot from a dummy. The action of Hansel and Gretel, in which they neglected to take their surroundings into account, typifies the occurrence of mindlessness. As the term might suggest, mindlessness is characterized by the absence of thoughtful behavior. Dr. Daniel Wagner, research psychiatrist at the University of Virginia, says that mindless behavior is pretty widespread in general. Kind of like his statement. Indeed, from misplacing house keys to acknowledging mannequins to falling into the midnight abyss because you assumed the toilet seat was down. Mindless behavior afflicts us all in some form or another. What's more, according to a source I can't even remember, the pervasiveness of mindlessness detracts from our overall quality of life. At its cortex, mindlessness insults the inherent integrity of our human individuality. In other words, we have to stop it. Therefore, in order that this nonsense may cease, we'll first probe the basics of mindlessness. Then, we'll dissect its origins so that we may finally lobotomize it. The mind, after all, is a terrible thing to take. But first, on to the ABCs of mindlessness. For now, I'm content to stop at A, where mindlessness is also known as automaticity. Mindlessness, aka automaticity, is a psychological term that refers to the absence of thought in our everyday common behaviors. Mindlessness thus entails our enslavement to mental routines, where we make premature cognitive commitments to the information at hand. In other words, for the lay, or simply the lame among us, this means that we have a tendency to operate on autopilot, drifting through our days without really thinking about anything. As an issue of psychological study, mindlessness would be a no-brainer without its own particular set of characteristics. According to the June 22nd, 1997 American Journal of Psychology, we can recognize mindlessness by the following. 1. Entrapment in old categories. B. Automatic behavior that precludes attending to new signals in the universe. Finally, action that operates from a single perspective. Case study, Waffle House. With these characteristics in mind, we can now delineate the various manifestations of mindlessness in our lives. Quite simply, it's everywhere. In the domestic realm, mindlessness often strikes our common domestic tasks. When returning the creamer to the refrigerator, we place the coffee pot in there as well. At work, on our way to the restroom, we meander into the janitor's closet. At school, the sight of a familiar hairdo prompts us to flag down an absolute stranger. While these circumstances afflict individuals, it's worth remembering that mindlessness holds even greater perils for members of groups. According to the June 1998 small group research, even though I struggled to read the fine print, it indicated that group mindlessness occurs when individual differences are suppressed and all sense of originality is erased. This is especially prevalent in communist China and Greek organizations. While form it takes, mindlessness prevails when our previous training takes over and we simply just don't think. We become like lab rats who pump on that saccharine button of life again and again. I wish I could say that mindlessness weren't our faults, but I can't, so I won't. And you'll never make me. Like so much else, our miserable human condition seems to be to blame. Mindlessness results from factors both biological and educational. According to the March 1998 Human Relations Journal, our tiny brains contain thousands of scripts which are acted out whenever they're cued by something familiar. It was once said to this effect, "All the world's a stage and the stage crew's drunk." For example, get thee to the supermarket on New Year's Day, cued by the familiar clicking of the registers and the common sight of your checkbook. Thou dost write your check, dated for the previous year. Then again, most supermarkets are closed on New Year's Day. Still, my point remains, albeit somewhat dull. We're subject to our natural stores of information, which very often make our crucial and critical decisions for us. When biology mixes with the educational system, the toll is even greater. The failure of the educational system to address mindlessness originates in what the January 1997 Kirkus Reviews calls the 7 myths of the educational system. For our purposes here, 2.5 myths are simply going to have to cut it. First, there exists a mistaken notion that rote memorization is necessary for learning. Rote memorization is necessary for learning. Second, the educational system teaches us that intelligence is a matter of grasping what's out there, as opposed to what's really right in here. Finally, education encourages mindlessness when it tells us that in every matter of life, there are definitive answers of right and wrong. But more often than not, we all recognize that life is a series of shades of gray matter. In essence, mindlessness is not the result of the work of some evil genius. It rather originates on the behalf of the lack of genius of our own parts. As mindlessness runs rampant, it's incumbent upon us to stop this trend. How? You might ask. Try cultivating the mindful as opposed to the mindless attitude. Described by Dr. Ellen Langer in her 1997 book, The Power of Mindful Learning, the mindful attitude incorporates an awareness of multiple perspectives and an openness to novelty. You see, postmodernism really does have credibility after all. According to Dr. Langer, there are 3 specific steps that we can undertake to combat many of the aspects of mindlessness. First, she calls for us to recognize the importance of different contexts. Rather than tell someone, "This is the answer," tell them, "This is one answer." Unless, of course, you find yourself repeatedly staring at a black box, in which case you'll quickly discover sometimes there's just no answer. Second, Dr. Langer encourages us to recognize the benefits of forgetfulness. I often do. Finally, Dr. Langer's Power of Mindful Learning tells us that we should teach skills and facts conditionally, always setting the stage for doubt. Doubt. Exit stage right. When the mindful attitude is cultivated, we create the rare but critical opportunity to make choices. And it's the ability to make choices that improves our overall quality of life. As the September 27, 1997 New York Times remarked, the staff of nursing homes have found that when residents are given simple choices about what food to eat, which clothes to wear, or even what movies to watch, they fare better than those whose everyday decisions are plotted out for them. Of course, spunky seniors now argue over which relatives they never wish to see again. But at least some people are beginning to think, and that's no small task in the world of today. The thoughtless behavior of mindlessness runs rampant, turning us into so many pathetic automatons. It's time that we reclaimed our human dignity. After first probing the basics of mindlessness, then dissecting its origins, we finally learned why Hansel and Gretel should have dropped chunks of Teflon rather than breadcrumbs on the forest. Alas, it's too late for our fair characters, but we can still learn from their mindless travail. Just think about it.
14505, Jensen.
Jake Jensen. I don't know why I'm doing that, but it sounds cool. As a college student, I'm about as informed as your typical blindfolded hostage who's been beaten and really well drugged. I mean, I don't even own a television, and even if I did, I don't have time to watch the stupid thing. Alexander Hamilton once penned the line, "The strength of a democracy rests upon the shoulders of its informed citizens." Well, he wouldn't be very proud of me. But if I ran into Alexander Hamilton today, I'd say, "Oh yeah? You're dead." And it's not my fault, Al. I mean, even if I found the time and the money to buy a television, I still wouldn't be informed. That's because television news of the 90s has become nothing but entertainment. According to a May 22nd, 1998 Toronto Star, the three most covered broadcast journalism stories of 1997 were the death of Princess Diana, the death of John Benet Ramsey, and the coming out party of Ellen DeGeneres. Of course, if you've been watching television, well, this isn't news to you. Literally, it's infotainment. And currently, this infotainment news trend is making a mockery of our good old democracy. And for those of you out there saying, "Jake, yeah, I know, the news sucks," well, nothing's being done about it. No news is not good news, people, and it's time that we once again reassess the current situation of broadcast journalism. Secondly, see if we can't find the cause of these problems, and finally, try to find out why they have this round in an easy bake oven. Are traveling fast down the information superhighway, then they have always been searching for the entertainment pit stop. Well, are we there yet? 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 Dad, I gotta pee, man. We better get there soon. Sadly, we've been there for quite some time. Max Frankel writes in the January 19th, 1998 New York Times that many journalists, they feel a lost sense of purpose. There's even doubt about the meaning of news when serious broadcast journalism organizations drift towards infotainment. Well, what is this infotainment Max speaks of? To put it simply, infotainment is just like the real news, except it isn't. Infotainment news focuses on personalities, but it lacks a point. It's really interesting, but it has no impact on your life. A person can watch hours and hours and hours of infotainment news and they feel like they're getting informed. But in truth, you're as ignorant as ever. For example, do any of you know just how many nuclear weapons we think Uzbekistan got last weekend? You know who starred in the movie Titanic? That's what I'm talking about, people. Of Uzbekistan, and deep down, don't we all? Well, speaking of Uzbekistan, what has happened to foreign news coverage in this country? According to a January 19th, 1998 London newspaper, The Guardian, the three major bloody American networks have cut foreign news coverage by 42% since 1988. That's a whole bunch. And while he was forming this country, Thomas Jefferson declared that no people can be both ignorant and free. It should be noted that Montana wasn't a state at that time. Jefferson makes a pretty good point. I mean, we've taken the nightly news and turned it into the morning gossip. We've taken serious, hard-hitting journalism and turned it into nothing but entertainment. And our entire democracy hangs in the balance. If Americans are traveling fast down the information superhighway, then the television is at best distracting us. And at worst, it's blindfolding us. So before we crash, people, let's downshift and see if we can't find the cause of all this. Well, the cause, much like my wallet, is twofold. First of all, television is a form of communications. And secondly, good old-fashioned ratings. But first of all, the television was designed to visually entertain. But presently there is no question that the television is the dominant form of communications in this country. According to the previously cited Guardian, nearly 70% of Americans rely solely on the television for all of their information. And the other 30%? Well, they were too busy watching TV to respond to the poll, man. So with all of America tuned into television, what's it giving us back? Hours and hours of infotainment news with pseudo-porn title names like Take Mine, Hard Copy, and another 48 hours. And some meat puppet announcer with a nickname like Stormy Billows or Dirty Goggles or Stone Phillips telling us all about some fascinating trivial subject like the making of Titanic or O.J. Simpson's Gulf swing. Well, in 1952, legendary journalist and all-around good guy Edward R. Murrow said of the television, "This is an instrument that can inspire, it can illuminate, it can educate, but only if it's used for those ends. I mean, otherwise it's just wires and lights and box." Well, golly gee whiz, Ed. I don't know if we let down the television or if the television let down us. But it's definitely down. The second cause of our problem? Good old-fashioned ratings. David Remnick writes in a March 3rd, 1998 Denver Post that while these news networks are competitive with one another, ultimately, their ratings are down. And in a quest to reverse that trend, they are eliminating foreign news coverage, closing down bureaus, and dumbing down broadcasts. I agree with Dave on everything but that dumbing down broadcast. I mean, did you guys know that American baseballs are made in Haiti? I did, thanks to Dateline. According to a March 3rd, 1997 Financial Times, some producers are even going so far as to tell their editors, make the news more sexy. Yeah, sex and the news. Isn't that an ingenious combination? I mean, why don't we just have David Hasselhoff tell us the news while he's saving Pamela Lee after she just got done shooting her latest porn video that she calls, like, personal home video, whatever there. Whoa. I mean, how can they mess up the current state of journalism? Well, all kidding aside, I'm sure producers would say, hey, we're just giving the people what they want. Giving us what we want. You know what American people want? We want a higher salary. We want more vacation days. We want an attractive member of our preferred sex. We want warm showers when it's 6 a.m. in the morning and we got to get up for a third day of competition. But the one thing I don't want is lame-ass news. That's beside the point, because the news is not supposed to be about giving the people what they want. It's about giving us what we need. And what we currently need is a solution to our infotainment nightmare. Well, our solution, much like my outer ear, you guessed it, threefold. First of all, do extemp. I mean, come on, people, some of those citations have to be real. Little joke for all the extempers out there. I'm thinking about it. Secondly, and more practically, we have to realize that watching the nightly news just doesn't cut it anymore. You have to do more. As Walter Cronkite puts it in his biography, A Reporter's Life, the major problem is, and always has been, that the television is just an inadequate substitute for a good newspaper. But what does Walter Cronkite know about broadcast journalism? He basically invented it. It's time we tell the television, you bet a bad monkey. And we're not going to depend on you anymore, even if you can juggle bananas and squeak a whole bunch. Or as Mike Rosen tells us in the January 3rd, 1998 New Yorker, hey, fortunately, in our media-abundant society, there are plenty of places you can go if you crave something more. Talk radio, newspapers, magazines, the internet, books, a brothel, Just don't depend on the television to spoon feed you the news. Remember, in our society, if you can't afford a nuclear weapon, knowledge is power. But finally, and most importantly, we have to educate our youth. We have to focus on those minds that have yet to be shaped by the present, but will shape the future. And as any good gun-wielding thug will tell you, that's a battle you fight in school. We'd be wise to look north, to Canada. Let me say that again. Canada. No, not for curling chips, how to drink Molson Light, how to kill a moose, or how to grow great industrial hemp. But rather for education. For as Peter Jennings tells us in the November 1998 interview on Minnesota Public Radio, in Canada, ever since like the 1970s, it's been a requirement that all young Canadian high school students take a television education class. And in that class, they learn about the dangers and the alternatives to visual communications. Those young Canucks are learning that G.I. Joe was right all along. Knowing is half the battle. Unfortunately, we can't always look to Canada to solve our problem. Because let's face it, Canada sucks. Today, we've been focusing on infotainment news. And we saw that it was a big problem. Secondly, I showed you the causes. And finally, I said, hey, if you can't beat them, you better just arrange to have them beaten, mister. I'm a college student. I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm poor, I'm moody, and I'm not very well informed. But that's what college is all about, people. It's good time. Real good time. The rest of the voting public needs to be informed. H.L. Mencken once said that democracy is the theory that the people know what they want, and they deserve to get it good and hard. It should be noted that Mencken was really into S&M a whole bunch. Let's make sure that what we want is real hard-hitting journalism. And maybe, just maybe, I'll have some good news in the future. Next speaker, 14701 Hill.
Remember the code again?
14701 Marlita Hill. All right, y'all. I need y'all to breathe with me. Come on. Deep breath. Come on, 2 more. 1 for the road. I'm trying to get y'all kind of relaxed before I kind of whip that on you. Got to be careful, you know. Got to dance delicately around that one. It's a mighty powerful word. Oh, that's my topic and I can't even say it. Oh, well, nigger. Did I offend you? Well, what if it wasn't so big? No, I've got it. The all-powerful antidote. It's hyphenated. Guess not, huh? Yeah, I know, guys. This word has some, let's call them, negative associations. A little history. But the Seattle Times of July 6, 1998 says the powerful sweep of popular culture has moved the word nigger into the mainstream, where it now resides in the lexicon of cool. Like Tarantino films, Chris Rock comedy, hip-hop lyrics. It's even being used as a friendly greeting. Out, peace and allegiance, my black brother. In, yo, what up, nigga? Much like orange juice, the term is diversified. It's not just for lynchings anymore. You a little uncomfortable as I discuss the semantic debate over the word nigger in the dictionary. Second, could put you ill at ease as we discuss its controversial entry into the mainstream vernacular. And finally, I will offer up some of Marlita's very own ideas about how we can settle this nigger enigma once and for all. Now, some of y'all out there looking at me crazy, and I know you're thinking, damn, a black girl doing a speech about the N-word. How the hell am I supposed to compete with that? And I say exactly. Don't get over it. Let's talk about this first. What exactly is a nigger? Well, Famous Magazine of February 1998 explained that in the 1700s, nigger, along with the word boy, was used as a way to avoid calling blacks by their surnames, a technique of disrespect. Though both equal in offense, nigger ended up with a bad rap, while boy escaped relatively cleanly. But could you imagine if the two had been reversed? Then we think nothing of hearing about stuff like the Backstreet Niggers. Nancy Drew and the Hardy Niggers. The Nigger Scouts of America. And my all-time favorite dinner treat, spaghetti and meatballs from Chef Nigger R.D. Now we can all agree that this is a pretty explosive word, but we're not so clear about exactly what it means. The Los Angeles Times of May 11, 1998 says a heated national debate has sprung up over a revision in Merriam-Webster's 10th Collegiate Edition. Well, let's see what all the fuss is about by looking at the actual definition photocopied from Webster. Now, first we have here niggardly, meaning cheap. Now, I can see how some folks up in Washington may think that's pretty offensive, but I guess it's not so bad as, what? There it is! Usually to be taken offense. But is nigger really a black person, or is it simply a derogatory term used to dehumanize a group of people? Well, among those rallying the cause to either amend the definition or have it completely removed from the dictionary are organizations like the NAACP, two national Protestant organizations, and this is real too, girls, the National Scrabble Players Association, who apparently doesn't mind the word nigger in the game. They just want it spelled with a Q. The most offensive word in the dictionary, then I guess the word that follows it and has been in all previous editions is not so bad, right? Nigger in the woodpile! What the hell is that? Now, I know the NAACP is busy, but you think they could have read down just a couple of more lines? Okay, because it's hyphenated, right? concealed or not straightforward. A lurking difficulty. Joanne, you say your boyfriend is a good listener, dresses well, and has a subscription to House Beautiful? Sounds like you got yourself a nigger in the woodpile. And right into the mainstream, where more and more blacks are using the word. In fact, when a Los Angeles hip-hop radio station bleeped the word nigger out of rap songs, the May 28, 1998 Los Angeles Sentinel said they actually had hundreds of kids calling in for their right to be called niggers. Perhaps one of its most confusing, although affectionate uses, is that by black women, who express their love to their men by telling them, "You my nigger." Can a Celine Dion ballad of the same name not be far away? Here with the dot. A dictionary of African American slang describes nigger as having undertones of warmth and goodwill. Now, on the other hand, to my brothers and sisters of the vanilla persuasion, y'all seem a little confused about this issue, and I don't blame you. The Detroit News of September 3rd, 1995 says that more and more whites are adopting the dress, manner, music, and slang of black culture. But when they follow the black example of using the N-word, the results aren't always so favorable. Miss Hill, you seem to have some decay in your rear right molar. What's up, nigger? You not been brushing? Spike Lee uses the word in film, but he publicly criticizes Tarantino for doing the exact same thing. Well, the Michigan Chronicle of June 30th, 1998 asks, isn't this the height of hypocrisy? And I say yes. But in all fairness, we don't always use it in an endearing way. For instance, comedian Chris Rock, who's been accused of black-on-black racism for making a differentiation between blacks and niggas. As a whole, this is not just a confusion between whites and blacks, rich and poor. Hell, everybody's throwing up their arms about this one. It's a confounding situation, a lurking difficulty. Clearly, my friends, what we have here is a nigger in the woodpile. And nobody knows what to do about it, except me. So first, what not to do. The Jacksonville Free Press of July 15th, 1998 says the Pennsylvania chapter of the NAACP is lobbying to ban books. Classic books containing the word nigger, like Song of Solomon, Huckleberry Finn, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Oprah says we should never use it, and there still are those people that want the word taken out of our dictionary and even our entire language. But this gag approach is the most absurd thing that I've ever heard of. The Michigan Chronicle of December 2nd, 1997 says that it would be foolish to refrain from using the word, as if its absence will make it and all the hatred behind it magically disappear. Even I face it to say it or not to say it dilemma in a speech about the word. Speaking of which, on a ballot for my last tournament, this judge, he wrote, now I don't mind one or two, but I think you have a few too many niggas in there. You know, I was thinking the same thing about Ruth. Did the slave master have to keep using that word over and over again? I mean, couldn't he just have said, I'm gonna rape your wife and kill you, you goddamn N-word? I hate N-words. So what's my simple solution? Say it, if you need to. It's an important enough issue, guys, that we should be able to talk about it without hyphenating, asterisking, blushing, whispering, or avoiding it altogether. Just one rule. Don't direct it at anybody unless you know they're okay with it. Right, niggas? See, we talked about this. And if somebody does direct it at you, hear it and be unaffected. Don't get mad. Stay calm. Because when you stay calm, you take away all the power that they thought they had over you, leaving them to deal with you and not your anger or your rage. And that, for many people, is a very scary thing to do. Now, today you guys have all hung in there with me while I discussed the semantic debate over the word nigger in the dictionary, its controversial entry into the mainstream vernacular, and as I offered up some of my own ideas about how we can settle this dilemma. Comedian Lenny Bruce argued more than 30 years ago that we should say the word so many times, so loudly, so publicly, that it just becomes utterly devalued. What do you say, Lenny? Should we give it a try? Will you say it with me? Will you say it? Come on, sister, me and you. Deep breath. Everybody's watching. Let's go. On three, you ready? Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. Nigger. What the hell is this wrong?
Carla Montrosa. Well, hello, niggers. Wonder Woman, spinning, glass turnoff, bone releasing, metal bustiers, breath vital kick boots. Wonder Woman. You know, she came from an island ruled by women, where big-boned Amazonian Brooke Shieldsy broads governed all. But no female has ever led our country. And I'm beginning to wonder, woman, when it's going to happen. According to the Salt Lake Tribune of February 7th, 1999, women are 52% of our population and less than 10% of our elected officials. But is America really ready? Do we finally want a woman at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that isn't wearing spandex and getting paged by her pimp? Well, I think it's about time we found out. So I, Cadra Liliana Monteroso, am today not hinting, not forming an exploratory committee. I'm announcing my candidacy for president. Overlook lingering biases and vote for moi. Next, I swear to show why the need for a woman in office demands for me. And finally, we'll look at my own personal strategies for getting me, or at least someone who ovulates, into the Oval Office. 1998 Washington Post states that experts disagree why we haven't had a Betty in the big swivelly chair. Do you like my hair? How about my outfit? Have you pondered my appearance today? Well, according to National Public Radio of February 11th, 1999, the chances are that you have. In fact, the scrutiny of a woman's appearance is one of the main barriers female candidates face. Maybe it's all these years of seeing women compete in more pageants than primaries. Pageants. My name is Carla Canelani Rasco Monteroso from the Free State of California. I believe in tort reform, congressional term limits, reinstatement of the line-item veto, and margarita body shots. Woo! March 8th, 1999, Los Angeles Times says another barrier is the public's inability to see a woman as the most leader of the most powerful military force in the world. Hello, Joan of Arc, Elizabeth I, Mulan. Finally, there's also the bane of women's existence: menstruation. Worried that a woman president on a psycho-Tasmanian double thrash fit will snap and hit the red button. Hey, Joan, what's in the bright pink box? Nuclear dead! With a silky applicator. Not the end of the world. I know you're all college, you all know better. So, do I have your vote? Well, if you, like Anne Heche, are still undecided, I we should commit to electing our Xena, legislative princess. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette of September 2nd, 1998 tells us we're behind the rest of the world. Since World War II, over 20 democracies have had women heads of state.
Margaret Thatcher was the longest-running British Prime Minister of the century. She used her feminine touch to tear down the Iron Curtain and replace it with the tasteful Martha Stewart Kmart window dressing. Democracy, it's a good thing. While American men were busy bagging booty, Pakistan was electing Benazir Bhutto. Corazon Aquino led the Philippine nation. And of course, we can't forget Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. But electing a woman makes sense for other reasons, too. News of November 1st, 1998, given the current White House scandal, analysts seem to think that a woman president would be just seen as less scandal-prone. I mean, come on. If Indira Gandhi would have walked in with a stain on her blue dress, we know it would have just been curry. But perhaps the best reason to vote vagina, so to speak, would be to affirm to the world that women really can do anything that a man can do. As the previously cited Salt Lake Tribune asks, at what age does a young girl start believing she can be president? And at what age does she stop? Jerry Lee Lewis then asks, what age could she legally marry her cousin? Oh, goodness gracious, great balls are fired. But how will I do it? How will I get to get you to elect me, Carla Liliana Monteroso, as the next Buffy, House Ways and Means Appropriation Committee slayer? Organization has long been lacking in politics, but finally, someone has stepped up to the challenge. She's 9 years old. The Cleveland Plain Dealer of June 12, 1998 says Alexander Delusioneers, a 9-year-old girl from Maine, was taking a tour of the White House this past summer and was very upset when, among all the pictures of ex-presidents, she saw there were no pictures of females or Hanson. She got so mad, she wrote a speech. Actually, her coach wrote it for her. And in the speech, she challenged women to face the challenges of politics head on so as to ease the way for future Little Women political candidates. As a result, an organization was formed, the White House Project. Why not a woman? Their list of candidates with the estrogen levels necessary to run our country include Hillary Clinton, New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman, former Cherokee Nation Chief Wilma Mankiller. Yeah, that's her real name. And her even more disturbingly named running mate, American Socialist Party leader Ivana Rifter-Kaka. However, NBC News, March 10, 1998, said one woman has distinguished herself as a likely presidential candidate. She has never held elected office, but has been serving the public for over 30 years. And as we all now know from the commercial, is getting it at least 3 times a week. It's Libby Dole. 2 brands of canned fruit and enough Aquanet knock the ozone layer off of Norway. Will any of these women distinguish themselves as a likely presidential candidate? Or will he be set back and pinned on as the fashion accessory we like to call vice president? Myself? Oh, come on. Myself, I'm playing it smart. As both a woman and a Latina, I know that I have a lot of votes that can win this thing. All I need now is a gay, African-American male to be my running mate. It was kind of hard to find one, so I finally called up Gary Coleman and asked, Gary, are you gay? He just said, don't it pay? Still, CNN News of March 10, 1998 says the American electorate will be looking for much more than just gender in the coming election. According to the previously cited Cleveland Plain Dealer, in the coming election, a candidate's platform will overshadow the presence of platform shoes. So if I have something to say and the right class to say it in, I just might have a shot. Today, we have investigated my quest to hear the band play Hail to the Chick. I've gone over some of the barriers that are keeping you from electing me to be your president. Next, we went through why we should knock down these barriers to get me to be your president. And finally, we went over my own personal strategy. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't do this. I just can't. I've been talking to you nice folks, and I have to admit I have a confession to make. I'm no candidate. I don't have a platform. I don't have a gay running mate. I don't have the look, that makeup. Shut up. You have to be 35 to be president. I'm just 17. I'm a beret away from cliche. I desecrated a flag to make my VA. My pantyhose are writing on my... Oh my God, way too much information for you. I guess what I'm saying is I, Carla Monteroso, am officially withdrawing from the presidential race. I know. In the end, all I'm asking you is that when you vote for the best candidate for the job. And if you're still undecided, think of the value of role models for that future group of little women political candidates. And maybe you got a pretty good tiebreaker. Oh, wait. You haven't seen the last of me. I'll catch you next year. We'll talk. Hope.
Please remember to start with the name of the code.
11507, Melanie Miller. Last week I was participating in Math and Science Awareness Week. 7 full days of formulas, facts, and fun. I was doing all sorts of cool activities like programming games into my TI-348729 calculator, picking out pocket protectors to coordinate with all my outfits, and always wearing my Math and Science Awareness ribbon. But then I began to realize that not only was no one else participating in this tribute to logic and reasoning, but I was getting some very strange glances. And then I deducted that Math and Science Awareness Week didn't really exist. Had I miscalculated? Is the American education system not as excited about pocket protectors and calculators as I am? Indeed, they are not. According to the Boston Globe of October 6, 1998, less and less people are interested in learning math and science because of the recent movement in the American education system to focus on the arts and humanities. The teaching of math and science is becoming less and less of a priority. But that's like taking from Peter to pay Paul. I don't know what that means. I learned it in some philosophy class. In our schools, math and science are getting a bad rap. And eventually we will become a math and science illiterate society. So in order to prevent our schools from becoming void of pocket protectors and calculators, we will first hypothesize about why we are not prioritizing math and science in our schools. Second, we will derive some of the harms of our math and science misprioritization. And finally, add it all up and arrive at some solution to regain our educational focus on math and science. So why aren't we prioritizing math and science in our schools? Basically, we have come to view math and science as too hard and not applicable, not touchy-feely, not culturally diverse. We have all these misconceptions about math and science, and they're preventing people from going into the field. So let's take care of a few of these misconceptions right now. First misconception, that math and science are no fun, just for the nerds. We think that math plus science equals dweeb. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune of February 18th, 1998 stated that the American Association for the Advancement of Science convention held in Philadelphia was more than a geek show. A geek show? Oh, how very nice. But we're judging the equation by its variables. I mean, the book by its cover. You look at some of the major figures in math and science, you realize how cool it really is. I mean, first of all, Albert. Al. Well, he's kind of cool in his own sort of way. Well, we all have one bad hair day. Oh, now how about him? Hubba hubba. Doesn't he just make your heart explode? Get it? Oppenheimer, nuclear bomb, explode. Never mind. Now, who do we have here? It's Lisa Kudrow from the hit TV show Friends. While she may play the blonde ditz on TV, in real life, she has a degree in biology. I guess blondes do have more fun. Even cool, beautiful people can love math and science. 3 misconceptions, 1 down, 3 minus 1 equals 2. Second misconception, that math and science are not applicable in the real world. How many times have you sat in your Math 100 class and thought, when am I ever going to use this? What's the teacher babbling about? He's kind of got a nice thought. Well, maybe you're right. I've never seen your teacher's butt, but I mean, what do we do with all of our time? Conduct experiments? No, we write speeches and we give speeches. We go to tournaments. I mean, we got bigger things to worry about. I mean, we get to AFA and you see there's like 20 sections in each category. And you're thinking, if that's 6 people in each section, that's like 120 people. And you're thinking it's going to take like a 6th cume to break, because I think that was the average last year. And then you realize you're double entered in duo and poi, and you're third and fourth, and your partner's fourth, and there's 5 different buildings, and all of a sudden you think, I'm using math and science. Logic and reasoning, I love math and science. Well, maybe that's not exactly what you think. Maybe it's more like, oh, I guess I should have practiced. The truth, we probably use math and science 24 hours a day. Telling time, math and science. 3 minus 2 equals 1 more misconception. The final misconception is we think math and science are being adequately taught in schools. Schools have basic requirements that try and give us some math and science understanding. But what used to be a solid math and science curriculum has been watered down to be less hard, more applicable, more touchy-feely, more culturally diverse. I mean, if you look at some of these classes, the science of musical sound, not exactly geochemistry, the biology of aging, not really physics. We call these classes math and science, but really they don't heighten our awareness as much as, say, calculus or astronomy would. So now that we have all those nerdy misconceptions out of the way, go math and science. Let's see how our math and science misprioritization is harming us by forcing us into a downward cycle that eventually leads to no new math and science discoveries. Scary, huh? So if we have no one who really likes math and science, then no one's going to really want to go into math and science, and then we'll have no new math and science teachers, and then no one's going to really like math and science, and no one will go into math and science, and no new teachers. It's like a circle. I mean, it's like a continual cycle. It's kind of like the Pythagorean theorem. You know how you start out with the simple a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and the few simple steps you can come up with the distance formula, and you know, okay. Maybe it's like the lunar phases. You know how the appearance of the moon changes in accordance with the Earth around it? Okay, maybe it's like a butterfly. You know, caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly, anyway, it's a cycle. As less and less people become interested in math and science, we are experiencing a critical shortage of good math and science teachers. According to the previously cited Boston Globe, schools are using any warm body to fill math and science teaching positions. In New York City, they've gone to hiring teachers outside the United States. They actually hired 23 Austrian teachers using a flyer that stated, if you can read this, have we got a deal for you? So basically, our butterflies have no wings. I don't even want to know what that does to the Pythagorean theorem. If we have no one who loves the science of teaching, how are our children ever going to learn to appreciate the beauty of math and science? And eventually, there will be no new butterflies. The second harm of our math and science misprioritization is the lack of new math and science discoveries. According to USA Today of January 27, 1998, there is a tremendous need for math and science literate people as we enter the 21st century. Without them, our technology may begin to suffer. We may have to start looking to the arts, where we previously looked to the sciences. Our bridges would all be this pretty shade of fuchsia, but they would all fall down. Our skyscrapers will be splashed with rainbows, but they'll look like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And our computers will come in pretty colors like teal and pink and orange. Oh my God. Must be some way to stop this math and science misprioritization. We've got to get on the math and science bus, Gus. Get in your slam, Stan. No need to be coy, Roy. Just listen to me. Now, there is room for everybody everybody on the math and science bus. But we gotta get the little kids on first. We gotta show them that math is natural. Math is fun. Math teaches us 1 + 1. According to the Washington Post of September 29, 1998, former astronaut Pinky Nelson has started Project 2061, which aims to reform math and science education for kindergarten through 12th grade. This project is writing books that show how to teach math and science in a way that stimulates learning. Their goal is for kids to be math and science literate by the year 2061, when the Halley's Comet passes again. We need more programs like these to get kids excited about math and science, so that when they get to college, they'll want to go into these areas. Well, what about those of you who are in college? Well, there's room for you on the bus. Math and science can be fun for you, too. Now, I'm not talking about throwing big parties where instead of seeing who can finish the keg first, we see who can finish our multiplication table first. Maybe if we finish the keg, while we finish the multiplication table. Now, that would be challenging. And don't whine about your one math requirement. Take the time to really understand, and I guarantee you will realize how you're ever going to use this. And don't take the little Mickey Mouse course. Take the big dog course. Shoot for the moon. Go for the gusto. And for those of you who are out of college, well, driver's wanted. Encourage and support the kids and students you know. Since the 1950s, the United States has been falling further and further behind in the areas of math and science. And as the millennium approaches, it is as important as ever that we revive interest. We are in an age of computers and technology, and this technology bus is driven by math and science. And Sandra Bullock. So today, we hypothesized about why we are not prioritizing math and science in our schools. We derived some of the harms of our math and science misprioritization, and we added it all up and arrived at some solutions. So last week, I was alone in my celebration. But this week, I hope you'll all join me in sporting the Math and Science Awareness Ribbon. It is a symbol of where the world needs to go. To boldly go, where no one has gone before.
Final speaker is 13008 Hawk.
Remember to start with number and name.
Cool. 13008 Katie Cook. Men's Health of March 1998 tells us that there's a war out there. Us soldiers, and you are all soldiers, are on the front lines. At stake, our very health, which is under constant attack in the microscopic foxholes and trenches that are our bodies. The enemy's got missiles hurl around us. No place is safe. No one is safe. No one. Ultimately, we will win because we, yes we, have this. Victory will be ours! If you've ever stepped out of your soap bubbles long enough to get dustfully clean, you've noticed that our world has gone antibacterial. In fact, there is now an antibacterial explosion. We have antibacterial cleaners, clothing, carpet, kitchen utensils, kitty litter, and that just covers the cuss sounds. The idea that, hey, some germs get me sick, so I should wash my hands, has turned into an out-and-out war on germs. And like in all war, we are the casualties. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could anything so gold be so bad for me? The truth is, this antibacterial frenzy is killing everything except the enemy troops. Bottom line, this war against germs is hurting us more than it's helping us. And it's time we get intimate with the enemy by first getting down and dirty in the trenches, looking into the problem of our war on germs. Second, pulling the pin out of the causal grenade. And finally, we'll welcome the germs home again with some solutions. Let's start by cleaning up our understanding of the problems we create fighting germs. First a lesson. There are good germs in this world, like wheat germs. And there are bad germs in this world, like the clap. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? The October 12, 1998 Newsweek tells us that our good germs help protect our skin from all of the bad guy bacteria, also known as cooties. Many popularly used sterilizers and antiseptics can actually kill or weaken the important germs that our body uses to fight the skin against invaders. It's kind of like we're shooting a crowd with bullets to hit the Olsen twins. We end up hitting that little boy from Jerry Maguire. Sad. And unfortunately, as the January-February 1999 Utne Reader tells us, our immune systems are suffering greatly from this loss of our body's good guys. The July 18, 1998 New Scientist explains that researchers suspect our growing need for separation between us and germs has caused the recent rise of asthma and other allergic diseases, as well as many autoimmune diseases such as diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis. You can thank me in the solution. That same New Scientist article goes on to explain that researchers have come up with what they are referring to as the hygiene hypothesis, which is different than the hygiene hypnosis where I wave a watch in front of my roommate until she agrees to take a frickin' shower. The hygiene hypothesis goes a little something like this. Basically, since the beginning of time, our bodies have had to deal with a lot of dirt and grime. Our immune systems got used to it and found ways to work around it, strengthening themselves by living with the constant dirt, smut, and grime. It's kind of like Chelsea Clinton. Now at a time when our infants' bottoms are sterilized instead of spanked, we've taken away our immune system's set of checks and balances. Bottom line, we're too clean. Somebody needs to resuscitate Martha Stewart because I think she just had a heart attack. The consequence of all of this is mass antibacterial hysteria. There are now antibacterial toilet seats. And I bet they make them in that oh-so-nice-on-your tush cushion style. And have you seen the new antibacterial condoms? Wouldn't it be easier to ask your partner to wash up? Oh, while we're on the topic, it's cook, okay? Maybe a little too dirty. But now we know that the war on germs is a bigger waste of time than making your Atari Y2K compliant. Or asking for a wake-up call at the 4 Points Hotel. Why are we so obsessed with germ control? Well, the first place to look for causation is the marketplace. Realistically, producers know that consumers will buy anything they tell us helps keep us clean and safe from all of the Marilyn Manson germs out there. Drug and Cosmetic Industry of December 1998 tells us that consumers continue to buy products ranging from soap to toothpaste to deodorant that are antibacterial, and the markets for these products grows yearly. U.S. News and World Report of June 2nd, 1997 gives us an example. Kerry Body Lotion runs an ad in the subways in New York. The ad reads, "You are the 423rd person to touch that pole today." What the ad forgets to mention, you're the 15th person to have licked it. They're trying to scare us into buying products, and it works. A second place to put the blame is the media. I can hardly get past the nightly news without some little miss perfectly hairsprayed hair and scarf around the neck telling me about another evil E. coli outbreak, tragically killing little Billy and maiming Sally Sue. You know the story. The one where little Becky gets sick and the investigative reporter runs all the way back to the grocery store looking for answers? Well, it's too bad the reporter doesn't dig deeper. Because if she would, she'd find out that the night before when Becky's mom was cooking dinner, she forgot to cook the hamburgers. It wasn't the germs, it was Becky's stupid mother. But just listening to this reporter, you'd think that Becky's family ate in Jack in the Box all day long. For your health. Right, like she cares. But do us all a favor and go back to blaming parents, not germs. Magazines also perpetrate the war on germs. The March 1998 issue of Men's Health tells us that germs are these enemy troops trying to invade our commando teams. And then it tells us that if we take a quiz, all of those icky bad germs will magically surrender. You gotta love the male concept of health. If they can use a war metaphor to explain a cold, why can't they think of anything better than, hey, look, it happens to every guy, okay? Well, I took the quiz, and I'd like to know how answering true or false to you drop trowel more often than a frat pledge is going to do anything but remind me of my prom night. A final place to put the blame is... Hey, you got to stay with me on this one, guys. It's a toughie. You're bigger than the germs. You can avoid their evil ways, or you can pay the consequences. So go ahead. Trust the lettuce in the package looks clean enough. Don't wash your hands. Order your hamburger raw. Only don't come whining to me when you get sick. Well, this battle on germs has misplaced the blame from us onto the germs. And it's time we welcome them home again with some solutions. They come down to 3 very simple steps. Calm down the hype, change your attitude, and follow the grand old party's advice and take some responsibility. Calming down the hype is probably the simplest of the 3. And this means chilling out at the grocery store. Ask yourself, do I really need an antibacterial ice cream scoop? Well, yeah, but in taupe. What I'm saying is so simple, but oh, so profound. Don't buy the antibacterial stuff just because it says antibacterial. According to the Ladies' Home Journal of February 1998, the medical update from May 1998, CNN, The World Today from August 5th, 1998, as well as every other source I read. Any regular hand soap or dish soap works just as good as the antibacterial kind. Second, we need to stop the random killing. And this means that we need to realize the good that the good germs do for us. That is good. New Scientist puts it best when they state that if throughout the day we don't take in enough bacteria, we're going to have to start getting bacteria shots so that our bodies get enough. And God only knows which end the needle will go into if it's an E. coli problem. Poor Becky. And finally, we need to take some health responsibility. The May 15th, 1998 issue of Health tells us that killing off the bacteria and germs is not what we should be focusing on. Rather, we need to be worried about keeping our own health in check. We can do this by eating healthy, getting enough sleep, and sitting on wet toilet seats. Seriously, once you try it, you'll never go back. Well, we've looked at this germ warfare frenzy from both sides now and have seen that there is indeed a problem with our fear of germs. We've seen some of the causes of this fear, even came up with a few ways to overcome it. So now you know, showers are optional, except for my roommate. Forget what those gold marketers and persuasionists keep telling you. Cleanliness isn't all it's cracked up to be. So take off your rubber gloves and put away your dials. Just think of Melrose Place. A little dirt might keep things interesting.
Guys, how many times has this happened to you? You walk up to a beautiful woman in a bar and you say, what's a great looking girl like you doing in a place like this? And she responds, waiting to meet a nice guy like you. I can't count how many times this has happened to me. And not once have I got to the really good part before waking up. Or girls, how many times have you met a great looking guy and said, hey, I have an extra ticket for this weekend's Bulls game. Want to go in? And he responds, well, that would be okay, but after that, can we grab the English patient? Both of these conversations may seem like the ideal situation, but rarely do they turn out so well. You've been there. You're at a party. You're introduced to someone. You shake hands, drive me, and all of a sudden, your entire body of knowledge dries up like blood at the Rockingham estate, and your thought processes come to a screeching halt as your newfound acquaintance slips away in the direction of the fondue pot. Yeah. The art of conversation is as fragile as Kate Moss body surfing at a Metallica concert. According to Rudolf Vertebert in his 1996 book, Communicate, some of us have what appears to be a natural gift for effective conversation. However, almost all of us can learn to be more effective. So in the next 10 minutes, come with me and you'll see a world of pure conversation. I'll start this course in conversation by first explaining the importance of opening lines. Secondly, I will move on and chit-chat about some small talk, and finally show you ways of how to handle conversational problems. Now let's open this course in convo with some opening lines, such as, you come here often? Or what's your major? Or they're my favorites. So what do you think about oatmeal? To which I usually respond, very refreshing with scrambled eggs and wheat toast. Meet somebody, you can't just jump into such elusive topics. You might want to say general opening lines. You might want to talk about things that you have in common. The opening line that elicited the most positive responses was, hi. Those who are upfront and honest are seen as intelligent as compared to those who use humorous lines like, want to have sex or do I owe you an apology? Which make the receiver uncomfortable and the sender look, how stupid. If the person you're talking to senses your warmth and interest, soon you'll be chuckling, chit-chatting chums. Well, now that you've effectively opened a conversation with someone, you can't keep throwing openers out. You now must move on to what most of us consider as worthless and a waste of time. Foreplay. No, actually, it's small talk. And it plays a very important role in the conversation process. Small talk, not foreplay. That would be kind of hard to find a maneuver the fondue pot. Although it can be done. Trust me. When we first meet somebody, we can't just jump into topics such as your abusive childhood, recent medical procedures, or your naked duo rehearsals. Small talk is the transition from the opening line to big talk. When we first meet somebody, we have to talk about things that we both have in common. At a beach party, for example, you might want to mention the food, the beach, and yes, even the weather. Incredible day. Have some avocado with instructions. Or a question. Who's winning the volleyball game? Shorts or skins? According to the Ladies' Home Journal, April 1996, if women knew what men were always thinking, they would never stop slapping them. The journal also explains chit-chat provides necessary warm-up time before you move on to more meaningful matters. Although the best topics of small talk depend on the situation, there are, according to Men's Health, November 1996, some guaranteed conversation killers. First, avoid gossip. The person you're talking to may think that the man or time will be talking behind their back too. I wonder if the author of this article was ever on a college team. Second, how about those goals? Don't assume that everybody reaches sports page first. You know, some people reach the pinnacle of success without ever flipping to that part of the paper. It's true. Ask my dad. He's a CPA. He once thought Magic Johnson was a marital aid. Finally, nice party. It may indeed be a nice party, but you see, pointing that out also points out your tremendous lack of observational depth. You might as well say, oxygen. Good stuff. Now that you've got to the end of an established conversation, I'd like to give you some helpful advice on how to handle conversational problems that occasionally come up. According to the Ladies' Home Journal, April 1996, sometimes we get into that predicament where we're tired of the current topic and it's time to move on. You may want to try bridging. And no, this has nothing to do with old women playing cards for a penny a point. All it is reintroducing a topic that was previously mentioned. For example, you said that you were on the soccer team. What else do you do for things? What if the person you're talking to likes to interrupt? You may want to give cues to hint when you have or have not finished speaking. Never pause for longer than 5 seconds, or the person may presume that you have finished speaking. Another thing you might want to do is drop the pitch at the end of your last sentence. And if that does not work, you may need to be more direct and hold up your index finger and say, wait, I have not finished speaking. If that still does not work, well, you simply need to smack them. I know that at one time or another, you've all gotten caught in this one. Blah, 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 blah. The person you're talking to simply doesn't realize that your interest in the topic was lost a long time ago and that it's time to move on to a different conversation. Instead of nodding your head at everything they say, you're repeating, simply back away from the person and firmly say, well, it was nice talking to you, but I really must go and stir the fondue pot. Finally, everywhere you go, you will meet new people with new ideas. That's great. However, when encountering such people, you must say things which will keep their interest. Here are some people I've had a hard time talking to in the past. Clergymen. Go ahead, they won't fight. But then again, don't say arts monk or foot in your mouth comments either, like, Jesus Christ was great to them. Rock and roll freaks made him a superstar. You might want to start off by saying, what style of worship do you use? Or what part of your ministry do you enjoy the most? Just steer clear of those overboard questions. Computer keys. Now, this is that computer geek who has absolutely nothing but play with his mouse. I guess what they call it a laptop. Yeah, what do you think's on the horizon for computer use? Be careful because you may get into cyber sex fantasies. That could get messy. Finally, let's suppose you're at a convention party, and the person you're flirting with just happens to be a Zen Buddhist. Ask where you sit, or how long have you been a student of Zen? Stray away, however, from questions like, are you celibate? Can you marry? Why do you shave your head? And why is Buddha so fat? Oh, the answers, by the way, respectively are no, yes, only monks do, and because he not only became one with the earth, he became the earth. If all else fails, tell a joke. What did Buddha say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. That's what he said. Well, now you should be an expert conversationalist. You see, it's all actually very simple. By understanding how to properly deliver an opening line, how to use small talk, and how to maintain a conversation, you will easily be able to hold a good quality, interesting conversation with just about anybody. Remember, try to keep conversation light. Never go to level 9 until you've reached level 1. Listen and ask good questions, and you'll be successful. Oh, by the way, I take the Bulls tickets. The invitation really sucks.
Second, the negative feelings it creates. And third, the lower expectations it perpetuates. Everyone has body image. Basically, body image is our personal perception of ourselves. Whether it be positive or negative, we all have it. And as we learned earlier, for 70% of us, it's negative. Since body image influences how we feel, what we do, and what mood we'll be in, it's important for us to keep a positive outlook on ourselves. If our mental representation becomes hazy, like Marv Albert, we feel self-defeated and ugly. Thomas Cass, professor of psychology at Old Dominion University, reported in 1972 that 23% of Americans were dissatisfied with their overall appearance. Today, however, that figure, like Pamela Lee's boobies, has more than tripled. As you sit listening to this speech, ask yourself this question. Do I feel good about my body? Well, not my body, your body. And I already know how I feel about your body. I'll find out later, Motel 6 through 11. The answer to that question is negative. How does that make you feel? Which leads to the second aspect of negative body image, the fact that a negative perception can lead to negative feelings. Negative body image seems to be a weighty issue for many men and women. However, this did not happen overnight. Throughout the years, we have used our bodies as tools of success to get the things we wanted. Note to self, write hooker jokes. If our goals were not obtained or achieved, we might feel let down. Thus, many people fear they are just another plain Jane or plain Dwayne. Hey, hey, hey. Physical factors are the most common reason negative feelings arise. We contribute these negative feelings to looking too fat, too thin, too tall, too short, and so it's no wonder health writers are selling faster than acid at a Grateful Dead concert. Overall, we diet, we exercise, we take diet pills, we alter our clothing, deprive ourselves of foods we love. Some of us even develop deadly eating disorders, all because we feel dissatisfied with the way we look. The final aspect is the low self-esteem and low expectations negative body image creates. The magnitude of self-hatred is astonishing. According to People Weekly, June 3rd, 1996, many of us feel inadequate about our bodies, despite being at a weight that most people would die for. It's like my best friend Susie. She's always complaining about how fat she is. Hello, the girl is so thin that if you rub her legs together, you'll start a fire. Low self-esteem begins when thin men and women distort their reality as seeing themselves as fat. Dr. Cash also reports, ka-ching, that if we perceive ourselves as overweight, our body image is just as negative as that of a person who is overweight. Men want to be built and have muscles, where women want to be thin and dainty, even during that time of the month. Interestingly, according to the 1997 Psychology Today Body Image Survey, 75% of women feel inadequate about their bodies during menstruation. Okay, so who wouldn't? You feel irritated, bloated, and your boyfriend tells you to stop being emotional. Yeah, when you stop being stupid. So many of us have a negative body image, and it can have a negative effect on our lives. We need to ask the question, why? The first culprit is our cultural expectations. As a society, our body preferences are growing thinner. Just take a look at a picture of Marilyn Monroe. By today's standards, she's kind of portly. Men and women are told ideal heights, ideal hairstyles, how straight your feet should be, what your legs should look like, how big your pecs should be, and how big your butt shouldn't be. Continually, our culture dictates what we should and shouldn't look like, and we all fall a victim. Although culture has the power to shape and change American life, more so than the media, from Sharon Stone to Jenny McCarthy, from Marky Mark to Van Damme. The fashion industry has been attacked for idealizing such extreme slenderness and perfect pecs, encouraging real people to hate their own bodies. There's even a commercial that says, "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful." Well, little Miss Kelly LeBrock, I don't hate you because you're beautiful. I hate you because I want Anthony Michael Hall. According to Madame Mazel, May 1997, the average model today runs about 23, 33, 23. However, with CK ads bombarding the media, these measurements are rapidly growing slimmer, portraying adult women with childlike figures, which I find strange. I don't know any men who like strung-out, skinny, sickly-looking women. Okay, if that's what you like, that's great, but don't waste your time trying to get a stuck-up fashion model. Just visit your local crack house. The the American media draws our attention to good looks. I challenge you to find a flat-chested woman in Playboy, a full-figured woman in Cosmo, or a potbelly in a men's magazine. You won't find it unless Al Bundy does the spread. If you pay attention to what the media shows us, people always get out of bed looking beautiful, and everybody has a perfect body. Well, did you ever wonder when these people exercise? Of course you never see them eating either. Just look at Oprah. Every other show is about how thin and happy she is. She seems to be telling us that if we get thin like her, we'll be happy too. But that's not always true, but hell, if I made $30 million, had a personal cook and a personal trainer, I'd be pretty damn happy myself. The final cause is the fact that in our society, we tend to equate looking good with success. It's not very often we see people in the media who are successful and sloppy. According to the book, The Beauty Myth, we're not allowed to feel good about ourselves and our jobs in this culture unless we're thin, buff, and curvy. Achieving an ideal body image represents self-control, author Naomi Wolf explains. IQ is not the most important attribute in determining who gets the goodies in life anymore. It's looks. Research does show you're better off being good looking. For example, a male college student was asked to decide on a sentence for two women supposedly convicted of identical crimes. He gave the homely one 50% more jail time than the pretty one. Looking for work, good-looking men and women generally earn more money than homely ones. And tall people are better paid than short ones. I guess that explains why I only make $4.50 an hour. Bitten by an animal, men approached by a female researcher dripping blood after a supposed attack on a lab rat were more likely to offer help if the woman was beautiful. And bitten by Marv Albert? Well, I won't go there. The challenge with reaching a solution with dealing with negative body image is many people think it's as easy as accepting the things you cannot change. First of all, as my mother always told me, stop complaining, accept yourself, and get on with your life. Or as my sister always put it, quit your bitching. Remember, you won't be around to enjoy that size 5 casket. Second, we must stop putting too much faith in the media from trying to us what is socially acceptable. What we do not realize is that many of the models who make the cover of fashion magazines are often airbrushed or 13 years old. Hey, maybe I could get some work. This relates to the public a false image of reality. Stop buying those fashion magazines. Pick up a copy of Time. This will help you develop criteria that goes beyond appearance. Also, if people are so dissatisfied with their bodies, a trip to the gym wouldn't hurt. Let me tell you, looking at those big muscle men, that's not too bad either. But seriously, just walking 10 to 15 minutes a day can create more energy and boost one's outlook. There's a little Claudia Schiffer inside each and every one of us, just screaming to get out. But if you're gonna let her out, do it because you want to, not because our culture or David Copperfield tells you to. We know we can derive a sense of self-worth from something other than appearance. But because of the strong impact of the media and our low levels of self-acceptance, we reject all that we know to be true. Maybe we'll realize that there's no such thing as an ideal body image. Maybe we'll accept the body that we were born with. Maybe instead of letting out Claudia Schiffer, we'll want to let out Rosie O'Donnell. Looking back, we've examined the problems of negative body image, why we have this image, and finally, provided a little advice on how to overcome the myths perpetuated by the media. Hey, we all need to work with what we got. Now, I may be short, flat-chested, and prepubescent looking, but at least I'm cute. And when you're cute, you can get what you want.